All right, man.
There we
Machine
go.
says we're live. What's up, dude?
What's happening, man?
I'm gonna throw open a cheap beer here.
there, I have a Stella.
Oh yeah, man. I haven't had that stuff in a while.
It's sort of a go-to summertime thing for me.
I'm doing the Frio, man. That's my favorite. Like almost beer when you don't want to have a real beer,
Right,
or in my case, you can't. So
right. Then the near beer.
yeah, it's. I think of near beer as like the non-alcoholic stuff. I call this stuff beer in quotation marks. Cheers, cousin.
Cheers.
Right on, man. All right, folks, for everybody watching, we're going to run live and not going to fall out of the chair this time. I didn't wear my fishing pants this time. I don't know if you caught that. Yeah, I was wearing those nylon fishing pants and I had to jump up, reset the router, and came running back and
Oh,
I did, man. I shot the chair out from under my ass like a watermelon seed. It was really funny.
those are really good shorts for riding the slides these days. Because when we were kids, the slides were all made out of metal,
Oh, yeah, man.
and we'd light ourselves on fire going down them. And now you can't slide down the plastic ones in jeans. So you get you some
Yeah,
nylon
there's
shorts.
yeah, like there's no friction to them. It's just, or there's too much friction to them. It's just,
Yeah,
you just stick to it.
yeah.
Yeah, man. I saw this one of the local parks still has some of the old metal stuff, and I was thinking about how just extremely fire hot that shit used to get. Man,
Oh yeah.
it was awesome.
I'm so the 70s and 80s was probably the era for being a kid that might have been the most dangerous because they were still letting us do everything, but we were starting to get technology really rolling.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, hell, I remember us making napalm. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, could you imagine? It's hard for me to picture what it would be like if we had had the internet back then as kids.
Oh yeah, I remember somebody giving me an Anarchist Cookbook,
Yep.
um, and I was like, man, if I'd have found this when I was like 11, it'd have been over with.
Yeah, yeah. We had that when I was in high school,
Yeah.
and that was some pretty scary shit. There's a Netflix documentary about that guy, the dude that wrote it, and the lawsuits and all the weirdness that followed, and oh my god, it was
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah, somebody told me about it. I haven't checked it out yet, but I'm sure it's got to be wild.
It's yeah, it's well worth the watch, man. I don't know how to explain it, but you could tell that guy never intended for all that to happen the
Right.
way it did.
Yeah.
And so now he's having to deal with all the all the craziness that's gone on with it. And one of the
Yeah.
things I remembered about reading it, they showed how to make a wheelchair bomb, and I'm like, how much trouble is a guy in a wheelchair?
Right.
Like, how bad is this dude?
Yeah. I
All
mean, of
right.
course, now we have motorized wheelchairs. So,
Oh yeah, man. My hip got so bad the other day. I was kind of eyeballing one of those in the store. Like, I could kind of see that. I get it. But
right. Just stick a number three sticker on there,
oh
get you
yeah,
some
man.
wraparound sunglasses.
I still have Uncle Bill's number 3 trophy car up there on top of the tacky lamp
Oh, yeah.
that he made.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's
Man,
awesome.
our Facebook side is lagging. I can't really tell what's going on with it because it's not showing me connections.
Huh.
How weird. Oh well. If you're watching on Facebook, it's going to show um, that you have to have the Streamlink app, StreamYard app to comment, and you can still comment on Facebook, assuming it's going to work. But if you download the StreamYard app, I promise it's not a Chinese spyware. It's just a link to put everything on here. And I think the YouTube side is running too. I'll check that out. So we're going to talk about Glocks, man. I couldn't see your podcast the other. I couldn't sit and watch it, and I listened to it later. I really wanted to be there live
Yeah.
and watched all the comments. Man, that's I can't believe it's the same heated debate that it was 30 years ago.
Yeah. It's weird. I kind of wanted to just see where people's heads were at on that thing, and I was, like you said, I was a little surprised that people were going back and forth about it, because I mean, Glocks are cool. I mean,
Yeah. Well, what got me, I was thinking about it. It reminded me of the story. We were here in the van cave. This is ages ago, and I don't remember who all was here. I know Raul Aguilar, my drummer buddy, who was a Navy Master at Arms, and I think there may have been a couple of SWAT guys here. And we weren't podcasting. This was way before we did that. And thanks, Jim. He said, Jim Storm said YouTube's working. Facebook's kind of creepy. And I sold, it's one of those pop-up deer blinds, they're like tents, and it's got the little deal. And we had gone in with regular deer blinds, and I sold one. It was almost brand new. And this real nice kid, was off Craigslist, and he came by. And this dude was like 19 or 20, and he hung out with us a little bit. And we were just talking guns. He had no idea who he was in the room with. We were just hanging out. And he went into the whole, I can't trust a plastic gun. And he sounded just like the old farts back in the 90s that resisted the Glock in general. And I thought, okay, well, first of all, I don't know how much shooting the guy did. I mean, it didn't sound like he was a 3-gun dude. He wasn't in law enforcement. So he hadn't really had the opportunity to see one, I think, or to really see what it's like when you wear one out. I mean, I've got my Gen 1 in here from 1991. That was my first one. I carried this thing for years, and it's 28 years old. It's a little bit sloppy, but I haven't replaced anything but sights. And there was a recall. This is before all the internals were stainless. So a couple of years after that, they went to stainless spring striker and all that stuff. So, and man, I've been around them for a long time. We carried them on SWAT and on patrol, and I carried this one I used when I taught concealed handgun. I bought a couple of police trade-ins, the 9mm. And once I became an investigator, I just started carrying it. I mean, hell, you got 15 rounds. It's 9mm. You don't need to carry extra magazines and all that. But it's comical, and it's so telling of the whole just government experience. And when you wonder.
Uh-oh. We were there. I hope that's not on mine.
No, they both went. I wonder if it's mine. No, we're back.
There we go.
When you see something really strange with a anything, a vehicle, a weapon system, military or law enforcement, and think, why the hell did they do that? And it's really stupid. It's typically not something that's well researched. It's like one guy's idea. Like, oh my God, we're going to have this. And next thing you know, you're carrying a cap and ball musket. So,
right. I mean, that's how we get, that's how we get 50 cals on top of Jeeps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's, we went through this, when I was at the sheriff's office. One day they woke up and decided we needed, M14s or M1As, whichever the civilian version of it was. And, because it's the greatest, toughest thing, and everybody loves them, and the Marines use them and all this other stuff. And I strongly recommend people watching Small Arms Solutions that was essentially the government armory system trying to save itself. Hey, Jim, are we back running? We froze for a second. But, I mean, we're recording. We got it going.
Cool.
And we wound up with these 10-pound rifles that you can't use night sights. It's complete bullshit to try to put any sort of a sight system on it. And it's a 308 that'll sail through 5 trailer houses, which isn't really, handy on patrol. So, and I don't know, man. I just, the thing about a Glock, you buy it, you put it in your holster, and you got to work. Or, your armed citizen, whatever. So what'd you think? What came up on your podcast?
There was a lot of talk about the safety on Glocks versus say Bursas or 1911s. It seems like the 1911 seems to come up in that Glock conversation all the time. But I'm sort of like, um, I don't really trust anything that has a hammer on it anymore unless it's a revolver. So I don't know. I had a 1911. It was a really cool gun, but um, it's just it wasn't as fun as the Glock, or I think the Glock was easily more accurate, quicker for me. Handling, of course, anybody that handles firearms, you usually go with what you're the most accurate with. And once I got a Glock in my hand, I was like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah. Once you learn the trigger, because it's a weird bird, but I one of the reasons a lot of police agencies, I've talked to a lot of guys. I was in the ILFE, the International Association of Law Enforcement Firearms instructors before I retired, and so you go after conferences and have a couple drinks, and people tell you all the stories. But government and military, they're all about that mechanical safety,
Right.
right? DPS was one of them. Now they gotta have some kind of safety on it, and
Yeah.
they
Where's the
go,
button?
yeah, exactly, man. Well, they go from revolvers to a Glock. They're the same thing. Revolvers don't have a switch on them.
Right.
They've got some kind of transfer bar, so if you drop it, it doesn't go off. Uh, you got your SIGs and all that. SIGs didn't have, the ones that I've shot just had a decocker. We carried the M9 in the Coast Guard that has the little on-off safety. I think it had a decocker, and it just blows my mind. And I think a lot of that came from if you got to say anything bad about a Glock, one thing you'll hear is, man, like the damn things just randomly go off, like they just pop. And because it's one of the few designs that you actually have to dry fire before you can tear it down. Right.
Yeah.
That's one of the things. You can't take a Glock apart until you dry fire it. Well, people have, shit procedure, and the first thing they do when they go to clean it is pull the trigger and bang, it goes off. Well, anything else, most any other design, you can take them apart. I wonder how many SIGs and 1911s and M9s have been taken apart and they find a round in the pipe. Oh shit, check that out. But you do that on a Glock, you fire. And I've heard. I mean, I was working one day and I was about to teach a basic shooting class, and this new employee came up and said, we didn't issue at the time. What do I need? And I said, get a Glock. That's all you need. And yeah, but my husband says and I said, he's not teaching the class. Get a Glock. Forget about it. Another officer came by and said, I carry that very same model. You need to come check it out. And I'm just sitting there typing my report, and then I hear a shot. I knew exactly what happened.
Oh no.
And they tore it down and busted around into the tile. Fortunately, nobody was hurt. But I think that's where that part comes from, because the way the action is designed, it's safe. It doesn't discharge if you drop it. It doesn't do that weird stuff. But some people just got to have that switch, I guess, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, there's also like the old guy thing. I mean, I don't know how many times I heard my dad or somebody in that age bracket tell me, never dry fire a weapon, never do, even a pistol or a revolver or whatever. You always heard that until the Glock thing came around. And just like you said, you got to dry fire it to take it apart. So I think that was one of the things that old guys were sort of having trouble with.
Yeah. The crazy part about that, this is my only way I can kind of make a working theory out of it, is everybody has a 22, and regardless of who makes it, how much money you spend on it, what kind of metal it's made out of, you don't dry fire a 22 because it's a rim fire.
Right.
It's got that little pin, and it'll drive it into the where the rim should be, and it will actually tear it down. And it went from never dry fire to, unless it's a 22, don't own a weapon you can't dry fire.
Right.
Right, because your dry fire is your cheapest training ever. And I mean, dry fire, I used to compete with M1 Garands, and they do have a device that doesn't close the bolt all the way, but the trigger still works, doesn't drop the hammer all the way. Bolt guns we dry fired in sniper school, I don't know how many times. So yeah, man, it's we call it institutional inbreeding, right? Where we've always done it that way, so we're going to keep doing it that way.
Yeah.
Right or wrong, I guess.
Yeah. Speaking of M1s, is it week before last at the range? I'm there, and I've got Cash with me and Stacy, who's never been to the range, and so I'm training her up on 22 rifle, the same old one we all learned on, and so we're sitting there plinking at about 70 yards or so, and all of a sudden I'm getting thumped in my right ear, just oh, 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 start feeling it in your teeth. And I'm like, what in the world? And the guy is 2 spaces over, and he's got an M1 in his hand. And so I was like, dude, what are you popping off over there? He's like, oh, 308. It's just like, I've been sitting here for 30 minutes, all nice and quiet, and you sit down next to me and start rattling my teeth.
Yeah, those things can throw some brass, man.
Yeah. Oh,
and,
yeah.
The damnedest thing I ever saw do that, AKs and the SKS, because they're made for shitty ammo, and the bolt hits the backside really fast, and they'll pitch brass to oblivion.
Yeah, I used to have an SKS, man. I kind of miss that one.
I got the cheap Chinese one.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too, man.
But it was like the first thing that I had that was semi-auto, that was, a larger and round, more powder. And so I got out in the field with some of my buddies, and we're just lighting this car door up with it. And I was like, man, this is awesome. But I got in a bind at some point, and I was like, well, I could let this go and get a few $100. And so it ran away.
Yeah, I owned an SKS at a time in my life where I could only afford a few guns at a time. So what I would do is I would run around with one and shoot it and have a great time, and decide to go on the next thing and have to trade that one in, my toy gun. And I don't remember what I traded that SKS for, but those things are worth a phenomenal amount of money. I mean, I saw it might have been Jerry Michalek said the dealers were paying like $29 a pop for those things, and we're buying them between $80 and $90. And then the ban hit. In fact, they made an M14, and there was a couple of guys when I shot high-powered rifle that they made race guns out of them. Cliff, that's on the podcast all the time, he shoots bullseye pistol, and he had a race gun made out of a Norinco 1911 because the metal was so good on him. It was really hard. And I had a hard time keeping screws in them sometimes. And he sent them to some famous gunsmith that turned it into just a monster. And of course, now you can't get any of that crap. And then 3 of us bought Russian Tula Arsenal SKSs, and I could really kick myself for getting rid of that one.
Did those have the bayonet attachment on it?
Yeah, the Chinese one had the spike bayonet.
Right.
And then the Russian one had the blade in the kind of dark red dark red stock on it. Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. I mean, shit, they work. I got an AK now, and it's like trying to shoot a tractor, It's just, but hell, it works. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, and it's the Warsaw packed length, like the really small, you know, and man,
have you seen that guy's channel? What's his name? Is it Brandon Navarro? Something like that. But he did these videos. It's like a 5-part series of AR guys versus AK guys.
I have not. It sounds really cool.
It's pretty funny.
I gotta check that out.
He's a big time. I think he builds AKs, custom AKs. So he totally likes to trash on AR guys.
Oh yeah. Well, Michalek did a video. He shot an AR and an AK, and it's one of those things where you want to see somebody that's really squared away. Watch Jerry Mitchell shoot a complete and total piece of shit, and he's still faster than you, right? It's
Yeah.
not like, and that was one of my things with the Glock is if you can't shoot a 1911, you're not gonna be able to shoot a Glock either. So it's just you don't have that inherent skill. But yeah, there's a lot of hate between the two camps. I don't fit an AK. They're the really small ones, and I've only shot one on the full size furniture, and it was so long ago. I don't
Yeah.
remember anything about it. But yeah, man, this new app, it is not doing the job on Facebook. It's not passing comments.
Huh.
Oh well, we're gonna have fun anyway. I don't care.
Bummer.
Yeah, it's weird, man. I can't figure out how this works.
It seems like lately updates are making things worse. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's just a Facebook thing or what.
man, it is. It is all weird. StreamYard's a good podcast platform, and it used to work really well.
Yeah.
And I think, and then I had to uninstall it and then reinstall it just to get it to work on Facebook. But apparently, it's working really well on YouTube. Yeah, there it goes. But yeah, comments are not busting through at all. But now there it goes. God, I hate this stuff. Yeah, it's not refreshing on my end, but anyway, yeah, when the Glocks came in, a lot of dudes were carrying. Some guy, back in the 90s, were making the jump and in police work from revolvers to Glocks or whatever they had. And what was really cool about the work I was doing, the sheriff's office didn't issue a lot of firearms, and I taught at different agencies, so it was a cool window to the world where I got to see everything either work or fail. And I will tell you right now, Glock, Stig, and HK were unstoppable. I mean, that was just the way it works. I didn't see a lot of Berettas, but they worked pretty well. A 1911, out of all of them, I saw two of them run really well, and they were owned by guys who competed with them. And one of my Daddy instructors told me, if you don't shoot 200 rounds a month with a 1911, you're behind the curve. And
that sounds about right.
Yeah, well, and I can't, especially for its time, it was a solid platform. If I had the ability to, if I was going to compete again, I wouldn't mind competing with a 1911. They do have, like you were talking about, man, the great feel. And there's, between the U.S. and European manufacturers, there's a difference in the rake, the grip angle on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the 1911, that's one of the things that it really aces, the grip angle. And of course, a single action trigger. And I actually carried a 1911 on duty for a while. They bought.
Oh, really?
They bought a. I don't remember how many. Again, this is the like the Vietnam vet brass that everything they had back in the 60s was the shit, and everything now is a bunch of crap. It's stupid new stuff, And so what they got a deal on the LAPD SWAT model of the Kimber. And I was competing. I was doing 3-gun and IDPA kind of stuff at the time. I thought, well, shit, yeah, man, I'd love to have one of those. They said, well, we'll issue it to you because you're in the right pecking order of seniority. They got offered top to bottom in seniority. They said, but you got to carry it. And I thought about it, and I said, all right, I'll do it. So I got a Safariland 6280, the same holster I'm using. I got the magazine pouch that holds 4 magazines independently. And I trained and I trained and I trained. And man, remembering that damn safety, it took me about a month of just working with it every day. And I did it every day when I went off duty, and I would go to the range during breaks on duty. And the problem you get with 1911s, in my humble opinion, is you have the old 1911s, the stock out of the box, which they're okay. And then you get into the race guns that are so, the tolerance is so tight on them, they won't shoot every kind of ammo. They won't shoot unless they're perfectly lubed. When they do a great job. And this one, I never had a malfunction I couldn't explain. Gobbled down everything I had as far as, practice ammo and duty ammo. But it would get dry, it would get dirty, and even really cold or wet. If I got it wet, like if I had to do something like direct traffic, rainstorm or whatever, I'd haul ass to the range and just go shoot it to see how it works. And you start getting that feeling where you fire it and you feel it cycle real slow. And it started making me nervous after a while. But single action trigger, hands of a good shooter, man. They were great. But man, the Glock, again, buy it, put it in the holster, you're golden. I mean, obviously you're going to train with it, but
sure.
But yeah, I dig 1911s.
Yeah, they're cool. I mean, I had problems with mine. Like you said, it was finicky about what ammo you ran in it and how much. Because if it got dirty and hot, it wouldn't cycle.
Yeah.
So it's just like, that was real cool for a while, but let me get something else.
Yeah. I've shot a lot of SIGs. We had SIGs in the Coast Guard, and the 226 was pretty popular. They're 45. Of course, the M9. I don't like the double action first guns, where you fire the first round double action, and you'll find out in the average shooter, like the guy that just shows up for qualification every quarter, that pretty much that first round is just the cock the gun and they get down to business. I mean, and you can look at, if you do a 5-round string or, 5 drills, so you draw and fire 3 rounds, you'll have 15 holes in the paper, but you can tell how many times you did it because you're going to have these weird double action flyers. But right. I will tell you, man, the wrongest I've ever been in life is as an instructor. The military M9s that the Coast Guard had, they were okay. The ones we had were in pretty good shape, and they're double action first. And so you get that long, 8-pound double action pull, and then you have whatever the hell it was, single action with a lot of run up, a lot of creep on it. And I didn't shoot it as well as a Glock, but I didn't shoot them as often. Well, they made the jump to the SIG DAK, which is one of the weirdest birds I've ever seen in my life. Now, I thought it was a double action only when I started running my mouth, but I'm making bets telling them your qualification scores are going to crash, especially with the people who don't shoot a lot. What it is a double action, but I don't know exactly how it works, but you fire the first round, that long double action, and the hammer falls back down with a slide, just like a double action only, but then you can release the trigger to the first reset, and it's like half the weight. I don't know how it works. I guess it loads a spring up to where it doesn't require as much energy, as much pull. And the scores actually went up. Now, you can come off the trigger every time and shoot it as a double action. A little compact 40. In fact, says Sam Johnson joins, the chief from my unit.
Cool.
I bought a when they went to the Coast Guard and a bunch of other DHS Homeland Security outfits, they decided, okay, all you jerks get together, we're going to come up with one gun, and they came out with the DAK and 40 caliber. So SIG offered a deal where they would sell 25 of them. You had to buy 25, and they would put the Coast Guard anchors on it, and the serial numbers were sequential, so your whole unit could buy
gotcha.
all these guns. Yeah. And I have one that's in the box, the label is still taped around it.
Nice.
And I'm having to dump a lot of my collection because after I retired and brought all the guns out of my car and all that shit, it doesn't fit in the safe anymore. So, and I looked at that one and I thought, man, I want a bunch of guys missed the boat. Little Coast Guard pun there on buying those guns because we didn't have 50 and there were a few more than 25 and the Chief was one of them. So I'm hooking him up. But again, a great gun. I don't know if I ever saw a failure on quals with those, but damn sight better than that M9. So.
Yeah. But that's so that you mentioned something that I was trying to tell somebody the other day. You're talking about departments issuing sidearms, and I keep trying to tell people most departments don't really do that. Only a handful of guys will actually be issued a weapon. Most law enforcement guys have to buy their own stuff.
Yeah, I know our police department issues quite a bit. Typically, they'll do both. Is they'll issue and have an approval list.
Yeah.
That if you don't want to carry this, well, you can carry any of these others, and it has to be within a certain parameter. We had the on the SWAT team. Now we had a hard and fast order. We had the 21 SF, Glock 21 SF model, which is the 45. I think a little slimmer profile. Pain in the ass because it's not the same dimensions as the 21. So you had to find the 21 SF model holsters and 21 SF model magazines and all. So it was kind of a pain in the ass. And it was hard and fast. You could not modify it. You had to carry that one, and that's it. But you could carry others within reason. And one of the problems with the Glock, one of the reasons people don't like it, is firearms are like Barbie dolls for men. Right? They buy something, and the first thing they want to do is trick it out. We did it with cars. Yep. And we were young and stupid. That meant you had some kind of V8 hot rod that didn't ever run because you were constantly screwing with it, putting non-standard parts on it, and it wouldn't start. And we had guys show up, and it's a dude thing. It's always
absolutely thing. It's definitely a dude thing.
So you get this Glock, and they look at it and they go, well, I can't put new grips on it. I can't do this. I can't do that. What the hell am I going to do? So they'd show up with skateboard tape on them. They made this stupid little slip-on rubber grip, and I detested the thing. And all it did was it gave you finger grooves on the old Gen 1s because, as you see between the two, try to hold them up against my pasty head and that white guitar.
Yeah, there you go.
The later generations had finger grooves and the older ones didn't. And those things, after a while, they'd get hot and slide around. I've seen them get pinched in mag wells. And I loved the dying on the inside look. When we had a recruit and I would open my Benchmade and just slice that thing off of it and hand them their gun back, because not only did they spend $8 hard-earned dollars on it, they spent an hour like naked in the bathtub with a half a gallon of dish soap trying to put that damn thing on, right? Because you had to squeeze it on, and it was a bullshit. The sights got weird. I saw a dude actually show up with express sights. It's like a peep sight,
right,
on a freaking Glock. And I had a guy. His Glock was going screwy. It wasn't working, and I said, "Fine, let me have a look at it." Tore it down. He had put in, I don't remember who made it, but it's a recoil suppression follower spring assembly that has like an oil shock absorber in it. That wasn't the problem. The problem was it wasn't a direct fit, and the dude Dremel tooled his frame. Right, so on the Glock, the bottom side right here will start to, when you thin it out, as it heats and ages, will start to point up and hit the slide and all this other crap. And I was like, dude, put the original shit back on it. And even a friend of mine had a Glock store, which is pretty reputable. Glock store trigger mod on it that the striker spring, I think it was out of spec enough that it wouldn't work. So again, you buy it and you put it in your holster and you're done. So,
right. Set it and forget it.
Yeah. How many guns do you buy just to screw with? Right. Like the 1022. Is there a stock 1022 left in the world?
I doubt it.
Because that's what you do with those, man. You buy one, you hot rod it. You know, you get the full quartz and barrels and all that other crap. They're a blast, man. You have a good time with them.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. What is the tolerance on those Glocks? I never actually looked at the specs because you were talking about the spring being off. Just what is it? 1,000th?
I don't know. It's been ages since I had to know that, so I couldn't tell you for sure, and I don't have it written down here. But it will change. It'll change the trigger pressure and how fast the striker drops. It'll change all that at the same time. And the number one complaint on the Glock is always the trigger. Always, always, always. I think the stock is, I don't know, 4 pounds and change. I can't remember.
I think that sounds right.
They've got a race gun version that's down to 3 out of the factory. And then you got the New York trigger, which is bullshit. The first time I ever got my hands on a New York trigger, I thought the gun was broken. Because, I mean, you got like veins popping out of your forehead. And that's another bullshit government decision that shouldn't even exist. But leave it alone and learn how to use it is what I tell people. It's not, this gun's a plow horse, pretty much. And you can shoot it fast. You can't shoot it as fast as, you know, your IPSC gun. That's not what they're for. But, you know, just put it together and leave it alone. Now they have the newer versions that have the adjustable grips. You know, it comes with 3 or 4 different, which I got no problem with that because those are some ergonomic things that you can't change. But they used to, you know, the Glock's got the hole back here, the gap. People would send them out. They would shoot this full of some kind of plastic and then cut it off and reshape it. If you wanted to. Yeah, man.
It's weird.
Yeah, you could get all kinds of crazy shit. It's like, you can't leave well enough alone, you know. Just let it do its thing. It'll take care of you. The worst thing about them is the plastic sight, the factory plastic sight. Because the day before I went to instructor school, I broke my sight. I was taken out of a gun box and nicked it. And I got home and I was getting ready and I realized it was gone. And I got the, no shit, the brand is Heine, Heine, combat sights. And they're badass. I mean, they work great. So
they have them with the incandescent dots?
As far as I know, I think the only options are still the plastic with the painted dots.
Right.
The rear sight has a painted, you know, kind of U shape, and then a plastic dot on the front sight, and then the tritium what's the good brand? Meprolite or something like I can't remember what they are.
Yeah, Meprolite.
Trigicon. I think it's
Trigicon. There you go. Go.
That's their factory one, but no, they run great. I mean, you can. Also, my buddy told me, Rich Cotty told me, if you get a dot sight put on it, I just did a dot sight on another gun. They drill 2 holes, you know, right here on the top that you stick that sight on. And one of the problems people are having is there's a cutout on the inside for, I can't remember if he told me, and I could picture it when he said it. either the extractor or ejector, the path for the pin, that if you drill in the same length and put the same length screws in it, it'll obstruct the slide. So you got to find somebody who knows what they're doing before you go to poking holes in them. So, but yeah.
Yeah, another good thing about the Glocks was like you can tell them if you see somebody who wants to get their handgun license, never really owned a firearm or whatever, maybe plinked some 22s when they were kids, or I always tell them, there's tons of things that you can get that are boutique weapons, stuff that's thousands of dollars, but you can spend something that's right about in the middle of all of that stuff and get yourself a Glock and you're done.
Yeah, exactly. We when I taught concealed handgun, the worst thing that you could see is somebody who they think, well, I've got small hands, so I'm going to get a small gun and they'll get a little 380 or something, not realizing that the smaller the gun gets, the more difficult they are to shoot. Even Glocks.
Right. Yeah.
And short sight radius, they're typically a piece of shit the smaller they get. And it just doesn't work out. And the benefit, not only from an agency instructor, that you have to deal with a lot of people, but you learn one trigger press and you're done. That's it. You don't have a double and a single. You don't have to deal with the thumb safety. Dirt simple. And I can teach you in 10 minutes how to press that trigger. So it's weird. You don't do it like no other gun does that. Well, until everybody else ripped off Glock.
Right.
But, until then. Because you don't, pat it on your finger like a single action. You don't have it knuckle deep like a double. It's all in the middle. But and you're exactly right. You get a 1911 and have that cool, crisp, badass single action drop, but now you got a whole other host of problems to deal with. Dude, I still hate disassembling those things. I haven't done one in forever, but and it never failed, dude. The 1911s, again, you'd kind of just, you see one of them show up on the range for a day and you're like, shit. Because he's going to have 97 magazines and 3 of them will work. Or it doesn't like that ammo or whatever. 1911 guys spend more time dicking around with ammo on the firing line than the dudes with the Glocks. Because, again, a Glock is, it's a Ford F-150 of guns. And and that was my deal. And again, I'm tainted by essentially being dead on the inside from years as a cop. You want to hit everybody, become a police firearms instructor. I mean, seriously, that's like, not only are you tired of dealing with the dregs of society, is now you have the guy show up and that's completely unprepared or has all the crazy bullshit on their gun. Or I've had people blame me for their bad shooting because I don't call them and invite them to come shoot with me. And I actually had someone complain on me for yelling. And I yelled every day on the range. Why? Because you got on 2 sets of hearing protection.
Right.
It's just, oh my God. And that's why my nerves are shot. And I'm not, and this is a police and civilian thing. When you'll give instructions and people will go, what? Yeah, it's like when you get that hyper focus where, like, my favorite NYPD Blue quote is about looking down a 44. It says the dude thinks he's looking down the Lincoln Tunnel and he's Jersey bound. You can count the rifling. I look through enough of those. Hell no, man.
Yeah, that's always have my my kung fu crane SWAT ready, just like if I'm standing there and somebody's like, oh, dude, I'm like, dude, stop.
Yeah. Oh, dude. The shit that happened. We had a guy. He was a friend of people in high places, and that guy was so twitchy and scary with his 1911 that, Jim, blame me. Jim Storms, one of the most intelligent people, one of the most talented humans in the world. He's been on this podcast. I went hunting with him one night. We were out spotlighting, legal spotlighting, and he didn't have his glasses on. And dude, that's like putting a hand grenade with a pin pulled halfway out down your pants and going to disco. Man, you had no idea what was going to happen. But in fact, he was with me the night we found the AR-7 barrel. I'll get to that story in a minute. But yeah, this dude was just all twitchy, and he had a 1911. And by the end of the day, my nerves were just shot. Like, he'd be standing there, and we had a problem. We had a firing line, and everybody completed that particular phase. And one guy had a really weird problem. We couldn't figure out what it was. So we told the firing line, everybody take 5. Don't worry about it. But keep your ears on. We got to fix this gun. And so we told the shooter we were working with, all right, just give me 3 rounds, put it center mass. And so this kid started shooting, and the twitchy guy thought he was just missing the commands, and like whips it out in a crowd of people and starts hauling away. And
wow.
Yeah, if you see cops diving for cover on dude, it's the shit you got to deal with in that situation. You just.
Yeah, I always have the scene in Weird Science where he's got that, or what was it? I can't remember. It's a Colt Python, maybe, whatever it was. It was nickel plated. And he's at the house party and he's waving the gun around. He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's a squirt pistol," and then he puts one in the wall.
Yeah, I think that was a Model 29. I think.
Yeah,
the dirty hair.
Probably.
Yeah, big giant.
Yeah. It's a hog leg.
Yeah. So I got to tell the AR-7 story, man.
Yeah.
We talked about this the other day. I got Charter Arms AR-7. It's a weird. In fact, I'll pull up a picture. It was originally designed as a survival rifle for the Air Force. And let's find a real.
Yeah, that thing had a neat history you were kind of telling me about. I was like, man, I had no idea that.
Yeah, so let me see if I can make this happen. It went through several iterations. I hate the internet, Abe. All I want's a picture.
I know, right?
Okay. Let me see if I can do this. This weirdness is on the update. Application window. Oh, Chrome tab. There it is. Nice. Can you see that?
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, I remember those things folding up into their own stock. And I was
right.
Like, man,
So the original was a bolt action. And it was, oh, come on. Is that one showing okay?
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay. So what it was, AR stands for Armalite. They designed a bolt action version that was the AR-5, and then they changed it to the AR-7. So you can see this is what the rifle looks like. It's kind of stupid looking, but it comes apart and it shoves in the stock with this plastic butt cap, and there's a big thumb screw that holds it all together. And so that's what it looks like on the inside. You got receiver, magazine, barrel, and then the receiver retention bolt. And it's 22 long rifle. It's an aluminum barrel that with a steel sleeve. Is what that's about. And so I had to have one of those, and it was a birthday gift. And I should have got a 1022. It was a choice between the two. I should have got the 1022, but I got the AR-7, and I still have the damn thing. I have the same one that we used to shoot on your place in Canyon Lake when we were kids.
Yeah.
Come to find out, it's made by Charter Arms. They tanked, and it's being made by Henry. You can still buy them. The steel sleeve was not center to the barrel, so mine was never all that accurate. And I didn't, I was a kid, and I couldn't shoot worth of shit anyway, so I didn't really notice it. And so I go on a hunting trip. I'm pretty sure this is the one Jim was on. And I go on this hunting trip, and it was at night. We get done. I think we were hunting coyotes on this farmer's place, and we're packing up our crap. I'm shoving it on my backpack, and dude goes, "Well, here's your barrel." And I shove it back in my backpack, and I got home and I had 2 barrels. So what are the chances? Nobody knew where it
Right.
came from. It was like just laying in the back of this pickup. I pray to God it wasn't like a murder. Somebody killed 10
Oh,
people
yeah.
with it and threw the barrel. So I have 2 barrels, and one's kind of beat up. The beat up one was not mine, but it's straight. Like
Oh,
the
yeah.
aluminum forging and the sleeve are straight. And I don't know where the hell we were going with this, but I still have the damn gun. Oh, and they float. It's great, and it's just kind of a neat
Wait,
toy.
they float?
They float. Yeah, it's the whole rifle weighs like 3 pounds.
Oh, well,
And
that makes sense if the if when it's assembled and the cap is on the buttstock, you got a hollow chamber there.
I didn't mention this part. The stock is like this wide, so it's like 3 inches wide to accommodate everything, and the rest of it's filled with foam, with styrofoam.
Oh,
So I've seen pictures of it. If it's assembled, I don't know what it looks like unassembled, but if it's assembled and you drop it in the water, like that much of the stock, like a couple inches, is sticking out the top. But the cool
right.
story about the AR-5, and I'm probably going to butcher this, was it was developed, and they should have stuck with a bolt action, because the semi-automatic is crap. I'll tell you right now, it's hard to get it to feed. Magazine lips are really tender, so they should have stuck with a bolt. But it was never released to the public for whatever reason. I used to know they built it, and they said, "No, screw this. We want this next iteration, the semi-automatic."
Right.
So you can't find them anywhere. There's like 2 or 3 in there in a museum, or were melted down or whatever. Somebody at the time, whatever this was, 50s or 60s, made a plastic toy version that's a bolt. So like serious gun
Yeah.
dudes, and I don't think it opens. It's just like molded. I don't know if it shoots suction. I don't know the whole story, but anyway, somebody told me that. I was like, get the fuck out. And I looked it up, and it's true. So
No kidding.
yeah, and then they went to the Springfield, I think, the 410-22 thing. Oh crap! It's a
Is
break
that the
open.
the crack barrel?
Yeah, and then there's a new one. I just saw it. Breaks into 3 pieces. I think it's a 223. I'm like 90% sure it's one of the 223s that actually has the recoil spring assembly above the bolt carrier. So it works as like a pistol with, if you'd imagine AR-15, the pistol versions with the extension tube, it's just like saw that off. That's what they look like. And they fold up nice and neat and fit in an injection seat.
Wow.
I wish I could remember where I saw that.
Right.
But yeah, I know I had the AR-7. Todd, our other cousin that we all grew up together running around in Canyon Lake, Todd had that Mossberg bolt. And remember how super groovy that was, because it's got the fore end that snaps down. He still has that thing. And that was pretty cool. I can't remember what you were shooting.
I actually have it sitting right behind me.
Yeah, really?
The old Mossberg. It was supposed to be basically an M1 for 22. So it came with the old peep sights on it and that stuff. Look, check it out.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
So this guy, of course,
it's
got the scope on it now, and it is dialed in, dude. But so you can see there's the mount. So it kind of has
let me pull you up. Let me put you on full screen here. Nope. I suck.
There it is.
Hold on, dude. I can do this. Oh, wait, hang on. I gotta stop this screen. Oh shit.
Easy, can they?
This is killing me. There you go.
There we go. So you see how it's sort of, I mean, it's little bitty. It's a 22. But you see how it's got there's the peep sight mount. And then, of course, it's got this, which most 22s didn't have.
Yeah. So Todd's had that, but it was plastic.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. I barely remember that one. But yeah, this thing, super reliable. Although I did run when we took it to the range last time, I probably ran more rounds out of it than I ever have in a row. Probably 8 to 10 magazines. It did get hot and did get dirty and it started to jam. But bolt action rifle, you're not exactly going to be,
Yeah.
you know,
And 22 is just nasty.
yeah, it'll bounce around in the rib cage like crazy.
Yeah. I got, that's true. Oh my God, that's true. Uh, I bought an MTM, a folding shooting table. So it's just the same, the trapezoidal wedge shooting table that's made out of that thick injection molding, like the
Yeah,
tables, the fold out tables at the office.
right.
And I've got a suppressed 22 rifle that I built Remington with Remington Ruger American with I think it's an 8-inch can that I built. It's tagged and everything. I've got the appropriate documentation, and that thing burps back more filth from that greasy, flaky 22 ammo than anything else.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the cheap stuff. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I always tell people if they have like the old school, what was the Remington model that everybody had for a while?
Nylon 66.
There you go. I always tell them, man, don't run the cheap stuff through there if you want to put down a lot of rounds down range because it'll lock up on you.
Yeah, it's filthy stuff, man. And then they had the CCI Stinger that ran, I don't know, 1,1300 feet per second. That stuff was disgusting too. So, yeah, it's I'll tell you what's crazy, man, is that Wolf 223, that steel cased ammo. I taught a rifle school one time. Never been around the shit ever. And I was walking down the firing line. I had 8 or 10 guys prone shooting it. And I got behind this one dude, and it smelled like somebody was burning cats. And I went up, so, what are you shooting? And it was that Wolf. The agency couldn't afford shit. Now, I mean, it worked fine, but man, it just stunk. And I looked at the rifle, and it was nasty. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Yeah, I have some. I have a few boxes of that stuff. It is probably. I mean, most people wouldn't associate 22 long rifle with smoke, but you do get a little puff of smoke, and
oh yeah, that and of course, if you're shooting subsonic, you got the heavy bullet, and 22s are lubricated, most of them, so they've got that waxy lube seated into it, and you shoot especially through a suppressor, and it does blow all kinds of bullshit back all over the place. I saw a Mini 14 somebody shot. It was probably Wolf, and they shot it and put it in a trunk of a police car.
Wow.
Which is one of the most inhospitable realms for a gun, especially in West Texas, because it'll rain, twice a year, and there'll inevitably be an accident, and they'll throw their rain slicker back there wet.
Oh.
And so it just steams them up, and we had to beat that thing open with a hammer and then hole in the chamber and all like that. And it was crap. So I got some goodies to show you, man.
Yeah.
Check this out. So like I told you, this one is a Gen 1, the very first one I got in 1991. Jim says he remembers me buying it. And I had to replace the sights on it. I've got a dead set of Trigicons on it now, just to have it. And this one came with the non-drop free magazines, which I'll tell you how those came to be. Also, this one, there's no way you can see it, but up here at the top, this is the ban era law enforcement government only high capacity. So it has to be stamped. And I had to go through procedures to do it. And I don't know if you've ever heard the term, top rack, dishwasher safe, combat Tupperware.
Yeah.
So here's one for the kiddies, man. This is what Glocks used to come in.
Oh,
so like they used to come. Now they come in a like the little suitcase. I can't think of the brand, but yeah, it's got the latches,
little briefcase looking thing.
Yeah. So this is what it came in. With this little Tupperware guy, the holes where the trigger guard goes. And you got your Glock, a couple of magazines, and then it has I can't believe I still have all this shit, man. Your little cleaning rod and your official Glock material plastic, rod and a plastic brush. Mine's in 45.
Awesome.
It's got the huge brush. Yeah, I still have all this shit. And then Glock made an entrenching tool. I don't have one of those. They had some of the newer ones and the older ones too. They came with their little loader. I've never used, but I have the vintage Glock holsters. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these.
I don't think so.
So these things came with, and you can't see it on the camera. Hold it up against. You see the little spot in the middle here? Right there where my finger is? You would cut those out to fit your belt in the ride height. So there's like 2 or 3 of them in there, and you have to cut them out. So that was for your belt width or whatever. And you could have the magazine pouch as well. There's no retention on it. It just basically gets warm with your body heat and kind of scrunches the gun down on it. And a friend of mine bought me this. He's a knife guy, gun and knife guy. Glock makes a really nice utility knife. And it's the polymer handle, the exact same kind of plastic for the sheath, that snaps in. And this weird, like you have to move it to the side sort of thing. But yeah, they made all kinds of crap like that. Oh, it's got a lanyard hole too.
Yeah, it's cool. I don't think I've ever seen the Glock knife.
Yeah, it's I don't remember how many versions. I think there was a sawtooth version, and you can kind of see the blade profile on it. It's kind of rounded at the top, like the up toward this way, like the Air Force survival knife, whatever the hell that was called. And same, good metal, holds an edge. And I drug this around for a long time. I kept it in my vest, and man, I've punched through some sheetrock and stuff with it before. But yeah, top rack, dishwasher safe, combat Tupperware. One of the bitches' legitimate complaints when people first started carrying Glocks, the magazines didn't drop free, and they still don't in most cases. But what the deal was, the Glock 17 was designed for the Austrian military, and the whole thing was when you loaded it up, it would kind of swell at least a little bit, and the idea was it wouldn't fall out. And they would issue a soldier one magazine with 17 or 18 rounds, however big that one is, and they didn't want him losing the magazine. And the military idea, your handgun is typically like a reserve shoot.
Right.
They didn't look at it like law enforcement does, where it's essentially your primary weapon. You use it to fight your way to a rifle, but it's all you've got on you at the moment. So when law enforcement started picking it up, that's when the steel sleeves started coming in, the full length, to keep them from puffing out, and they still don't drop free. So you have to learn that extra step of kind of grabbing the little bottom flare on it as you drop your magazine, as you go to your old to your new one, is dropping it along the way. So a little bit of bullshit trivia that a lot of tax dollars went for. So, but one of the things, one of the problems, the Barbie doll syndrome is people started coming out with metal magazines that would drop free. But the problem was, what happens when you take something with everything's metal on it, putting it against the plastic internals, like the magazine retention spring is, is it would just saw through it eventually, where your magazine retention is. So, but the newer ones, they've done away with a lot of the issues, more ambidextrous stuff, bigger slide releases, all that stuff. Yeah. So they've done their best, but still, you can't. It's hard to improve on, man. I mean, you got to imagine being on the engineer crew, going, "How do we make this better?" Well, shit. Now what do we do?
Well, High Point figured it out,
Boy, did the best meme, dude. Somebody in I think it was Reddit's law enforcement officer sub. That's, you've got to be verify as a cop to be on it. It shows a picture of that High Point that's got the $100 bills graphics on it. I don't know if you've seen that one.
No, I don't think, but that's hilarious.
Oh, you got to see this, man. This is ugly as hell. Yeah.
Yeah, a buddy of mine has a High Point, and he keeps telling me, man, it's like, dude, I put it in my hand, and I'm like, dude, this is like I don't know. I mean, it's fat, it's gross, it's weird, and he's like, but dude, it always works.
Man, so I'm like, it's funny to watch, like Demolition Ranch.
Yeah.
And some of those guys, they do work. They're cheap. They're heavy. Well, it's hang on, brother. I'm going to put this up.
Yeah. Cash loves Demolition Ranch. He loves watching it.
Oh yeah, that dude gets absolutely batshit sometimes.
It's like, let's see how many. What was the one High Point video? He's like, let's see how many High Points it takes to stop a 50 cal round.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's the $100 bill High Point.
Oh, that's gross.
And anyway, the cop meme said that if I'm ever, did it go away? Yeah.
Yeah.
It said, if I'm ever killed by one of these, please tell my family I was screwed to death in a gay brothel. But I'll confess, man, I had a predecessor to it when it was owned by Jennings or something. When I was in college or whatever, I just wanted a pistol to shoot. I had one at 9mm because I had all the reloading gear. And they're so heavy because they're not a tilt barrel like Glock 1911, really good guns.
Right.
So you get in these heavier calibers, you got to have 2.5 pounds of slide. But like you said, man, you put that much metal on them, they get pretty tough. So,
yeah. Well, I think that, the machining isn't really close. I don't know if it's an accident, but the tolerances are real loose. I mean, if you ever mess with it, as soon as you rack a High Point, you hear it's like wiggle, 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 clink.
Yeah.
And
yeah, they don't lock up tight.
Yeah. So it's like, I guess, like you said, Demolition Ranch, the guy throws it in the mud, runs over it with his truck, and it, whatever he did to it, and still cycles.
There's another video where he plugged the barrels with all kinds of crap.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
And just shit, man. How do you get that job? That's what I want. Anyway.
I know, right?
Hey, man,
well, he's like
a
veterinarian. He has a whole nother channel where he does like veterinarian stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I had no idea either until Cash told me, like, yeah, that guy's a veterinarian.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll watch him, Hickok 45.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen the VR game Horseshoes, Hot Dogs, and Hand Grenades.
No, I don't think so.
I have that on my Steam, and it's basically a hyper realistic shooting game. So the guns are real, all the controls are real, and I don't understand the hot dogs and horseshoes and all, but when you go into like combat modes, you're fighting these armored hot dogs, and they bleed mustard. So I don't know. The dude's weird that made it, but I can tell you, just for a workout. Now, granted, I'm on chemo and all kinds of shit. Just for a workout, I can go through some of their like entry and combat stuff, duplicate my rig that I carried when I was on SWAT, and run through these scenarios. Like I carry the same Glock, the same AR-15, the same sights and all that stuff, and really get a workout. And you got to understand how everything works. But I told you all that mess to tell you one of their modes, they have recreated Hickok 45's range.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so you can go out there and put anything from an RPG-7 to a single action Colt and shoot it. So it's pretty cool. I should do a video of that sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he did a really good video. I don't know if it was a recent one or whatever, but I watched it like a week or so ago, where he did basically the history of military firearms, and he went all the way from flintlock up to M4s.
Oh yeah, how cool is that?
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, dude, our Facebook
I just
side.
thought it was awesome that a guy, is like one of the biggest gun channels in the world, I guess, and he was like, I'm not gonna fire the flintlock.
Yeah.
Because those things, if anybody ever has messed with one, it really is a mess. And I'm surprised that wars were able to be won with things like that.
Can you imagine? Like, I've got some black powder, and I can't imagine fighting with something like that.
Oh, dude. But yeah, I've got some black powder stuff. And last time I went out with it, a buddy of mine has a whole bunch of that. So we were, loading all the balls and putting all the barrel butter and all that stuff. And by the time you get done with that, and it's already like 100 degrees outside, you have this like greasy mess in your holster on your hip, and you're like, you get your 6 rounds out and wave off all the smoke. And you're like, okay, that was real fun. Can we go back to shooting the AR now?
Yeah, I did. I think I shot one deer with well, you can't see it, but if you see my other videos, you might be able to. A Thompson Center 54 caliber, and I had to wait. Like it was one of those dead calm evenings, and I shot this little spike and had to wait 20 minutes to figure out if I got him or not, because the cloud was just like hovering over. Jim Storm said he shot a flintlock, and Jim is the guy that built my VR system. He's amazing. He says people are 3D printing stuff, so the VR has the same controls as the real thing. That's amazing.
Nice.
I'm going to do this. It's got 2 controls, and I'm going to zip tie them to a piece of PVC for an AR-15, because it's so weird to grab a rifle and your hands can still move, if that makes sense, because you got separate controls.
Oh,
so you pick it up, and I'm flagged and all that stuff. You can see my chamber flag. So you'll pick it up and you'll grab your forend, but your hands aren't restricted, so you can't press it into you. But if you put them on the same plane, on the same chunk of pipe, you can pull it back. But anything you want to shoot on there, from a minigun to vintage machine gun, whatever, it's all there. You're talking about the greasy mess in the holster. I got to tell you a sea story, dude. So you've probably seen these. I mean, you've lived on a boat, but the big brushes that they have the handle that's like that big around, and they're about that long, and you fill them with paint, right? Yeah. So I don't even know how to explain it I don't remember what it's called, but picture of a big long metal tube, and the idea is you fill it full of paint and screw it down, and then you retract the brush. It's kind of like my lens cleaner I use for my cameras. So you hit the button, you turn it right, and the bristles pop out like that, and you fill it full of oil. I mean, full of paint. And what you do is you give this to your deck ape, and he'd walk around and you'd see some rust, and he would sand it and brush it off, and then extend the brush. They would inject paint into it, and they would brush it over. The gunner's mates in my Coast Guard unit would fill that thing with CLP, the cleaner lubricant protectant oil. And you bring a gun back to the armory after you go on a mission, and they would get that brush, you go and just cover it with oil. And so the shit would be all over your nice clean uniform that you're planning on ironing out and wearing tomorrow. And the first time I took a unit M9 to the firing range, the first round blew all this grease and shit back across my glasses, all over my freshly shined boots and all that. So,
oh, that's gross. Well, I guess
just a story.
But yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense if you guys that were anywhere near saltwater. I mean, if these guns were going out every day or every week, you'd probably want to grease them up pretty good before you threw them back on the rack.
Yeah, they I'll tell you a funny story. When we went to the SIG, because we had Homeland Security. I said DHS earlier. Didn't mean that. Homeland Security. And we had Department of Defense missions. And so when they came out with the DAK, we had 40 caliber ammunition, we had 40 caliber ball rounds, and then we had, full metal jacket, and then we had hollow points. And we couldn't carry the hollow points on DOD missions. So there were a few times we would go out on it is DHS, Department of Homeland Security. Yeah, we would go out on a Homeland Security mission with hollow points because you're federal law enforcement, and they would say, hey, you guys are done with that. We need you to go to inspect this ship that was on a DOD mission, because it had like a commercial explosive, the minesweeper guys out at Ingleside. Well, we'd have to go all the way back to the station, swap ammo, and then come back if we didn't. And you couldn't even have it on you or on the boat waiting for you. If you were running a DOD mission, you couldn't have all the points. So you had to carry all that shit around. But yeah, the salt water was hell on all that shit.
Yeah, I bet.
But yeah. So there is a conspiracy theory attached to Glocks. I shit you not, man. I had a guy, and I heard about this in the 90s. I don't know if you've ever heard of the phenomenon called Glock kaboom.
No.
And, all right. So it's hard to do this without a picture, but one of the things that makes Glocks reliable, they have a very deep and very steep feed ramp that the bullet runs, where it runs into the barrel. And it leaves a large part of the cartridge unsupported. But if you have a fresh cartridge, a good cartridge, it's no problem. If you work for a cheap-ass agency that uses factory reloads, when a reloaded cartridge is about to give up the ghost, it typically does it a few millimeters ahead of the rim. That's where it gets chewed out first, and that's the spot that's not supported. So what happens when you fire it, it'll sometimes even cycle, but it'll always push the bullet out, but that case ruptures and directs the force downward, so it blows the magazine out, and I've even seen it where it's like burn people from the groove around the magazine release.
Yeah.
And I've seen it blow the magazines out so hard it destroys them. And that's just kind of the price you pay for that reliability, which is one of the reasons I tell you not to shoot a factory reload in a Glock. But factory reloads typically suck. We had a lot of underloaded, squib loads and such. And I can't remember who the dude was. I ran into him at a conference, and he was an armorer, and his thing was that this is a known problem, like it just happens with the Glock, like how they randomly go off because of the issue we talked about earlier.
Right.
And his claim was that for what we were paying $400 for back in the day, that it cost the Georgia factory, were they Smyrna? Can't remember. Anyway, the U.S. factory, it cost them $150 a unit. And so a big agency would have these blow up on them, and they would pull in the brass, wine them and dine them, give them money, and suddenly they're okay with Glocks again, when it's actually a problem with the ammunition, not the Glock itself. So,
Right.
but I'm pretty sure this guy was, I'm sure, QAnon and butt probe by aliens at some point too. But
Right.
I've only seen it happen 2 or 3 times in probably millions of factory reloaded rounds. So.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard that rumor attached to Glocks. Like you said, maybe that's an old one, but I've never seen anything like that in person.
I think that's because I may totally be talking out of my ass here, but the only factory reloads I've ever purchased, just walking into a gun store, just regular jack off, needing bullets and didn't have much money, was Black Hills rifle ammo. And I don't think it was, I think it was once fired. Like they bought it and reloaded it and sold it. But a lot of law enforcement factory reload places, you had to send the brass back to them. And then, they would send you more, you would get a discount. So there is no telling how many of those, how many times they've been reloaded. So,
right.
And I've seen some pretty crazy shit, but I don't know. That's just one thought on that. I don't know how true any of that is, but I shot probably 400 or 500 rounds of Black Hills on reloads with no problems. I used to have a varmint rifle I love to shoot, and it was, I don't know. But I remember back in the 80s, everybody's freaking out with the Glock because it was plastic. It could go through a metal detector. You remember that?
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big deal. That was one of the big conspiracy theories, but who knows, man?
I remember that one stuck around into the 90s where people were like, oh my God, the people. I guess that's what fueled a lot of that Homeland Security stuff, weird gun laws or whatever. But yeah, people would say that like it was a fact. Like, oh yeah, cops can go through metal detectors with their Glock. I'm like, I don't think so, bro.
No. And in fact, we had a unit. It was a warrants unit that was attached to the federal marshals, and those dudes had to go through some drama to be able to carry.
Yeah.
On an airline. I've never done it. Most times when I was on vacation, if I really cared about carrying a gun, I just throw it in my luggage. So, of course, then last time I did that, they put the big red and white sticker on my suitcase. I can't remember what airline it was. Just basically saying there's a gun in here, and there was absolutely no. Well, I grabbed my bag and I was walking out, and a TSA person said, "Oh, is that your bag?" And I go, "Yes." "Okay, right this way, sir." No, nobody. It could have been anybody's bag,
Huh.
So who the hell knows? But
wow.
Yeah, it's crazy, but yeah, man, I understand what people say, and one of the things I learned is taking all the time to and spending, I don't know how many thousands, hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of dollars have gone to the taxpayers have spent to train me, only to be just like completely ignored. Like the average thing is, well, we want to design this program or this project. Okay, well, this is the first thing you got to do according to my training. Yeah, well, we're not doing that. Screw you. We're going to do it like we did it in 1956. But one of the things about Glocks is it's the uniformity of training, in that if you have a Glock, like I said before, you got one trigger pull and you can overcome damn near anything with it. They run like a sewing machine. You're not having to stop and fix shit all the time. If you do, it's typically pretty simple. They're not, Springfield, the XD series, they put on that grip safety. And I had a student one time, only one of them, And the way his hand was shaped, and I checked his grip and everything, it wouldn't always engage that safety. So he had problems. And then sometimes you've got to, like mortar open a gun where you hold the slide and you pop it right on the heel of the grip to open it if you get a swollen case or something like that. You can't do that with a grip safety. And I looked at an XD one time, and it's essentially a Glock in the trigger, but they just put a grip safety on it, like for the hell of it. I have no idea why. It didn't make any sense why it even had one. And I know why it was on the 1911, but it just, I don't get it. It's make it overly complicated.
Yeah, that's weird. Have you seen, of course, I went down I guess a donut operator rabbit hole a year or so ago, and was just watching all these shooting videos. And there was one where it's like, if there's not a solid argument for especially carrying for safety, concealed carry or whatever, if there isn't a better argument, this one video, officer is approaching a guy in his front yard, and the guy gets 3 feet away from him and decides he's gonna go for the weapon. I mean, he's already, his hand, it looked like he had his hand in his pocket or something, and he instantly draws this weapon. He almost has it pointed at the guy, and the cop just John Wicks him. And I don't know if he mag dumps on him, but he put 4 or 5 on him.
I remember that. Yeah. When you said John Wick, because I think you put that in the title. Because
because if you're carrying something with some weird safety on it, like if that guy doesn't grip it just right or whatever, he's probably smoked right there.
Oh yeah. Well, when the Kimbers started getting big and they were very tactical and very, SWAT Gucci. This is before I was commander. A bunch of guys on my team got them, and we go out and we shoot the typical drills that we would do with handguns. We would shoot transitions, dropping the rifle, going to the pistol, all that kind of stuff. And I don't know how many guys didn't hit that thumb safety. And so they would come up and, have a grunt and then hit the thumb safety and go. And no doubt, I mean, these dudes are all squared away. No doubt they had practiced it. But then they get in that environment where they've done the same thing the same way all the time. You put on that stinky old body armor, your brain just kind of goes to where it's always been, and they had trouble with it. And that's a situation, I've seen that video. And that's a situation where that thumb safety or misplaced grip safety, if you're wearing a glove or you're having to hold, you're injured in a fight and you have to hold it at a weird angle, that's where it's over. That's where it's not going to work at all. So
it was especially scary because I remember watching the video and I was thinking, I'm probably going to sit through 4 or 5 minutes of this guy yelling at the cop, and there was people on the porch that were already yelling or whatever, and it's just quick, like
bam,
a couple of seconds. I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, those are the terrifying ones, man.
Yeah. That's super pucker factor. Geez, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly what that guy did.
Yeah.
And it's in the talking about training curves, the last study I saw was a well-developed average shooting skill, meaning you could pass a skills test where we tell you to shoot, reload, shoot, one reload one, or do a tactical reload, or emergency whatever it is, clear malfunctions, fail to feed, double feed, and then shoot a qualifying score. That skill set typically lasts 90 days. They say, if you don't do anything else. And a Glock tended to retain that longer. And that was just a little checkup I did, looking over records and doing these things. And that speaks a lot to the platform. But I did see a guy one time, massive muscled up kid, young guy. and he was having malfunction after malfunction after malfunction. And I looked at the weapon; it was fine. He was shooting the same ammunition as 5 other Glocks, the same model. And I was telling him, and I watched him, and I said, "You're not gripping the weapon. You're not holding it in push pull. You don't have a good vise on it, and you're absorbing the recoil through a limp wrist," which freaked this guy out. Like, I might as well have just called him a queer in front of everybody. And I really can't say what he was doing other than just when you watch thousands and thousands and thousands of repetitions of stuff happen, and you can just see it. And I took his Glock. He got shitty with me, and I took his Glock and I loaded it and just mag dumped it with one hand. And I changed to my left hand and mag dumped it. I said, "Dude, it's you." Like the if you have a Glock and you got a problem, it's probably the big useless mass attached to the butt of the gun.
Yeah.
And so we worked on his grip a little bit and got him running. And I think that's also, if you're shooting something like a 1911, something with a lot of mass, you kind of become dependent on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you tend to, I broke my arm. I was training for a bicycle race and hit a dog and did an endo and had a radial neck fracture. And for a couple of months, I didn't have enough grip to not absorb the recoil into my arm. And I think that's one thing about the lighter polymer platforms is you just don't, you can absorb more into the, fleshy, meaty mass than you can with a 1911 or SIG or something.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen anybody have a problem where they were holding a Glock with 2 hands and not have it cycle, but I have seen people hold it real loose, and they kind of got this timid thing. They pop one and it just drops.
Yeah, they'll do it.
I guess a big guy could probably have enough meat in his hands to have it wobble around in there to not have it cycle.
Well, I used to yell at people all the time that would, they'd wear gloves during the winter all the time. And I'd tell them, you need to practice with that. If you wear gloves, shoot with your gloves. And he had fail to feed, just back to back with his gloves on. And he'd take them off and it'd be fine. And so there's something changing in his grip. Because there wasn't enough glove to absorb anything, but it's kind of tacit. And I think with lighter polymer based guns, it tends to be worse. So,
it makes sense.
It makes me wonder. I don't know if you've heard, but apparently the new 22 caliber Glock really sucks.
Somebody told me that. I haven't fired one yet, but somebody told me yeah, you don't want that.
I think it was Hickok or somebody that it only likes a few brands of ammo. I have no idea. My 22 pistol's a Ruger 2245, and it'll rock and roll anything. So.
Yeah, those things. That's pretty reliable pistol right there.
Yeah,
my buddy's got 3 of them.
Oh, they're great, man.
Yeah, they're fun.
Hey, so one of the things, a little something I wrote that I'll share with you. One of the guys was complaining about how ugly Glocks are. I mean, come on, this is a brick. They're not beautiful things.
Yeah.
They're not elegant, right? He says, yeah, they're just ugly. And I said, yeah, so's your mom, but your dad knows what works, right? So,
there's lots of other stuff. Walther makes some real pretty looking stuff, and I don't really have a lot of issues with some of the Walther stuff. Some of it's really cool, but but like you said, the Glock it's an old pickup truck that is going to run every time.
Oh yeah, like I said, the Ford F-150 of handguns. That's just the way it works, man. And what's crazy, since I've retired and I don't have to worry about being tactical all the time, I keep sharp on this one, but I'm shooting revolvers and all kinds of stuff. I'm even shooting my uh, high end 10-meter air guns and stuff like that, and just having a blast. But when you come back to something like this, the utilitarian, actual
Yeah.
tool, it's a different animal. But
Yeah,
I'll tell you
that's a
really,
great way to describe it. I mean, it's very utilitarian. Like you said, it's not pretty,
yep.
but it works, and they're accurate, reliable.
Yeah, yeah, and my buddy Cliff put it pretty well. He was his son was in the hot rod phase, and some guy drove by in some badass. I don't remember what it was. Um, just a monster of a vintage car, and he said the kid was talking about how great it was, and he wants one of those. And he said, "But I guarantee you, at home, that guy's got some kind of bone stock grocery getter. He's
Yeah,
got
yeah,
something that's going to die at 200,000 miles and gets 30 miles to the gallon, and he drives that on the weekend because he don't want to work on it. And
yeah.
I see guys, buying all the tricked out Glock store parts and stuff like that, and screwing them on there, and um, most of their stuff is really, really good, but when you think about the liability end of it, as a cop or a civilian in a defensive carry thing, you don't want to have been screwing with that firearm. It's just like that horrible shooting. The guy in the hotel, I forgot where it was. I mean, it was
Is that
awful.
the one with the kid in the hallway or whatever?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, that one
that
was
was
rough.
absolutely
Yeah,
horrible. And I think that was
yeah,
the guy that had it may have been on his dust cover or something, but he had like the Punisher on it, which is,
yeah,
those are fun
yeah.
things to have to explain in court, right?
Right. So yeah, this guy, thinks he's a total badass. No wonder,
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was a brutal thing. But that whole thing, it was so drawn out for so long. I was like, come on, guys, we got to figure out a way to make this. I mean, it was like almost an hour they were fiddling with
Yeah.
that kid in the
I don't
hallway.
know what that dude's brain was, man. I
Yeah,
just, you see shit like that and you think, I think about how many times I've been in that same situation. And I, I mean, again, you're dealing with people and not robots. So you never know what to expect, but
yeah. A friend of mine had a good point. We watched that video when it came out, and we watched it on somebody's. Maybe it was Mike the cop or somebody's, and he didn't really say anything. He just played the video, and he's like, "I'll talk about it when it's over." But my friend was like, "They got this kid in the hallway, and they're on a long gun call. The kid's wearing gym shorts and I think it was a t-shirt or a tank top.
yeah.
Clearly, the long gun is not on him anymore. So, I don't know. It was just
Well,
weird.
and they're giving him too many instructions, and uh, that's just one of those things. You keep it simple because they're freaking out. They're
Right.
in a complete adrenaline dump, and that's the kind of thing you do it for them. They get on the ground, you go over there and take care of everything, and you just. But yeah, that amazed me. I saw that. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But
Yeah, that's one of the hard ones.
yeah, there are plenty of those out there. But holy hell, yeah, don't. But then again, when you do something like that, and you've got some kind of tricked out race gun you're carrying on duty, what does that say to a jury? What does that say to the public? What does it say to the prosecutor?
Yeah.
What does that say to the brass? All that kind of thing. So
Yeah, that's a good point. Because I mean the optics of that are terrible.
yeah,
It's-
oh yeah, it's awful.
I mean, it's
But
already people are already bagging on. Of course, right now with all this stuff going on, people bagging on militarizing police forces, and then you got the ridiculous video, where people are saying, "Oh, these uh, unmarked cars and cops are unidentified or whatever, and all this military gear." That already looks bad to certain people. So you add on, a tricked out AR or whatever it was with a
Yeah.
Punisher sticker on it,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
really, they're just
Punisher gear. Yeah. And I just want everybody to know that the guys with all the Punisher crap and all that, we're pretty merciless to them. we give them a whole lot of shit, dude.
yeah,
Yeah.
deservedly so. I mean that job. It's hard to be low profile already, and then I just can't. Yeah, like you said, walking out and you've seen all the tactical guys and people that aren't even law enforcement, the guys that the what are the 3%ers or whatever that are going to these rallies, and they're all geared up. They got Kevlar on and
Dude, yeah.
Bushmasters and
18 linear feet of rail on their Palmetto State Arms AR-15 with every damn thing they could find at the gun show strapped to it.
oh yeah, it's got like a Rambo knife taped to the barrel.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. That stuff just kills me. I used to bitch at my SWAT team all the time, man. They'd show up with this crap and I'd be like, dude, don't do that. And there was it's been way too long for me to remember, but there was a barrel shroud for an AR-15 that was the way it was joined to the nut, it would actually torque the barrel nut. So what happened is they would put a vertical foregrip, which I like. I do have a vertical grip, a GG&G on my AR-15. I like it because I can jam it on a corner of a wall or something like that. But they would actually, just through heat and activity, you could bust your barrel off. You could
Wow.
unscrew the barrel. And I saw more of that crap get torn up, the cheap plastic shit just go flying. And with, again, you give a dude a gun, they're going to bolt all the shit they can to it. That's just,
Right.
there are guns for that, but, it's just not something you do. I mean,
Right.
not for your working gun. There's plenty of room for your toy guns.
Yeah, that was like I've always tried to like resist any new gun laws that come out, this trigger, that trigger, the history of all that stuff. But when that Vegas thing happened and all of a sudden bump stocks became what everybody's talking about, I made a lot of my friends mad because they're oh, my liberty, and they can't be banning bump stocks. So like, well, I don't really appreciate the sentiment of the ban, but a bump stock's just it's a toy.
Yeah.
I was like, but you can it acts like a fully automatic. I was like, neat. Like you can't hit anything with it though.
I've got to let a dog out, man. Let me solo you
Yeah.
for like 20 seconds before I
Yeah.
have to clean up a mess, and then I've got a spiel on that. So
Yeah.
for anybody that doesn't know, kind of work out what a bump stock is.
Yeah, we'll go through that. So the bump stock is basically on ARs. They're already there's a spring in there that helps for the firing mechanism and the return. And a bump stock is another spring-loaded stock that if you held the rifle right, you actually would push it forward and let it bounce on your shoulder, and then you would get this trigger bounce, which would make it act like a semi-automatic rifle, which was scaring people. But the problem with that is there's the same trick that you can do if you just hold an AR just right, or hook your finger onto your belt loop and just let it bounce. So the problem with all of that is even if you had a bump stock and you were trained on your target, after 3 rounds you usually got a rise anyway, and so you were off target. And that's one of the reasons I never really liked bump stock. It's like, in my perspective, it was just a toy. Like, okay, let me wrap off 30 rounds real quick and impress my friends, and we'll crack a beer and laugh about it. I just thought they were goofy.
They weren't. Sorry about that. Yeah, they're good to go. I'm babysitting dogs right now. My sister-in-law's dog.
Yeah.
That is a golden doodle, and she's huge. And I just remembered she can't fit through Macy's dog doors. So, yeah, it didn't work. Yeah, the whole bump stock thing. Watch Jerry Mitchell try to shoot one. There's a video of him shooting one of them. He can't get it to work. And there's still people in this world that think if you have an AR-15, M16, M16, with a 30-round magazine, that you point it at a crowd, hold the trigger back, and you kill 30 people with it. And I can tell you in law enforcement, for the most part, the whole machine gun concept has been done away with. We had some MP5s. They probably still have them. They got them back in the 80s when that was very tactical, and they can't get rid of them. The way the laws are, they're not transferable anymore. And they weren't a good idea then. They're not a good idea now. And they are, like you're saying, just a toy. You could do it. There's plenty of, you can do it with your thumb in a pocket. Like I'm sure you said while I was gone. Yeah. But that whole thing is amazing. I don't, what the kind of shit people believe about that, but I don't know.
Yeah. There's so many of those gun myths. Are like, dude, have you ever been to the range with anybody? Like, I mean, just like hang out. You don't even have to shoot anything. Just like check out and see what people have and how it works. And
well, when I taught concealed handgun, I would work it into the lecture. How many people believe, and I started in the 90s, and I did it for about 10 years. How many people walked into that class thinking that if somebody's trying to break into your house, you can blow them away and just drag them inside and you're cool? Seriously, like we're going to get out there and there's going to be this corpse in your living room with a blood trail. And we're going to be like, oh yeah, nothing wrong here. We're good, dude. Pretty cool. I mean,
yeah, that's crazy.
The stuff that people believe and the, and I'm going to do a podcast on it. I've got it partially written out about stupid shit that cops post on social media.
Okay.
And, dude, it's going to be a gym. I've got a big one live, and I really appreciate you being on today and helping me kind of smoke test this new the updated thing. But there's I don't have it on this computer or the link or the thing in my head, but you're going to see a picture at some point of a guy in military gear shooting an M16, and right in front of the muzzle is it looks like it's shooting a spent cartridge. What's up, Black Mustang? How's it going?
What?
Yeah, just came up. I guess they're through YouTube. And it looks like somebody has photoshopped in the M4 shooting a spent cartridge out of it.
Casing.
Yeah. And people are just going ape shit about liberal media and blah, blah, blah. Just nutty. And I'm going to talk about it more when I get around to doing that episode. And what happened, and all you got to do is, dude, I'm serious, is first of all, you can go to the place where it was published. They explain what happened in the first freaking paragraph, or you can Google image it. But I was on a cop forum where they're just going ape shit about liberal media and anti-gun. What happened was, it was an Air Force photographer. When this guy fired the round, he took the picture. That's where the spent case was. It was a total freaking fluke.
Wow.
And he saved the picture because normally they shoot out, right and forward a little bit.
Right.
But they can overpressure or kind of slip the extractor, and you never know where they're going to go. And the guy saved the picture because it's cool. How often does that happen? And anyway, and this bunch of cops were just going nutty over it. But You know, what are you going to do? And it's just like,
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend of mine, angel of a person who's extremely liberal. And I was going to buy a scout rifle. And this person grew up on a ranch in Texas and knows a little bit about hunting. And I had a 308, kind of a mountain rifle, but I've always wanted a scout rifle, and I did buy it. And I was talking about how I like I've hunted with my AR-15 a couple of times. Basically, somebody would say, "Hey, Matt, we got an open slot this weekend," and I didn't have shit else that was zeroed in or ready to go, so I'd take my AR because it was always ready. And what I was about to say was, I would rather have something that's a little more compact and suited for different things. You know, you can do long range, you can do 3 yards and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And this person was like, "Well, why would you shoot him with your AR-15? It's like there'd be nothing left of them. Like they would just vaporize a deer." And I pulled up the difference between the 308 and a 223. Like,
Yeah.
why would I shoot, you know, 100-pound Texas whitetail doe with a 308? You know, 223 in the neck drops him to the ground before the soul leaves the body and doesn't
Right.
damage meat. And so, yeah, you're dealing with a whole lot of just rhetoric
Yeah.
that's kicked out all over the place. But
Yeah. I've heard
good.
weird stuff over the years. You know, all the I'm trying to think of the craziest thing I've heard lately, but I don't know. That whole gun argument is sort of, it's not over, but it's died out since this whole COVID thing
It's
happened. So,
on pause
yeah.
right about now.
Yeah. So
Now
yeah,
that,
it's been a while since I heard something truly nuts.
well, now that peaceful protesters are marching in predominantly liberal suburbs, people are a little more freaked out about it. And
Yeah.
maybe they got a point about being armed. And you know, you got the Ken and Karen, or Kyle and Karen, whatever it was. You know,
Yeah.
the AR-15 and the little auto that suddenly became operable when it hit the evidence room and all that kind of crazy stuff. So
Yeah. Oh, there's one. Actually, there was a crazy video. Um, the NFAC guys or whatever. That somebody popped off a round and got 3 of their own guys at one of the
yeah,
protests.
yeah.
So that guy who was, I guess he's one of the leaders, made a video, and people went nuts because he had his AR and he's like, "This thing will fire on its own." Yeah, yeah, he called
Called
it
it a
a cash.
bullpup. I
Yeah,
heard
you
that.
heard
Yeah.
cash. I mean, that was just like, I was like, dude, um, if you really believe what you're saying right now, you should be nowhere near that weapon
Yeah,
because you're not smart enough to run it.
yeah. Hey, trivia. Um, how many open bolt AR-15 platforms or AR-15 platform open bolts were ever built?
You know what? I think I heard this one recently, but I don't remember the number.
I think I just forgot it. M231 port firing weapon. You want to talk about the stupidest military idea ever? And hold on, pause. Black Mustang, Matt, have you ever seen or shot a Glock 18? I have not. So if anybody, thank you for bringing that up. If you ever notice, Glock models start at 17. So it's a 9mm full size. They skip 18 and they go to 19, which is this one, the compact. So there's like compact and the subcompact. So this is a 19. It's 15-round magazine. They skip over the 18. The 18 is a select fire Glock. For whatever reason, machine pistols were in vogue for a while. And it is a completely different animal internally. Like it uses very few of the same parts. The dimensions on the slides are different. And I think it's on the right side where the not stippling, but the cuts are, the relief cuts to grab the slide, there's a round sort of clock face looking select lever. And I've looked them up and watched people shoot them, and they sound like a fart. I mean, they're really fast.
Wow.
And there's no option like the Beretta or the Scorpion for a forward grip. So it's just, I don't know how you hit a damn thing with it. I've shot them in that VR game I was talking about, and you can't hit a damn thing about it. With it. It's crazy. But I've never seen or fired one of those Mustang. They're about as rare as chicken teeth in the U.S. as far as I know, because I think that came around about the time of the ban and some of that import. Not only was import a deal, but class 3 and all that stuff. But the
Right.
231, I think I got the number right. It was an open bolt AR-15 with a M16 with a phenomenal fire rate. It's like 1,200 rounds per minute. And what it was on the Bradley infantry fighting vehicle, they put firing ports on the side, and on the fore end, it didn't have sights or anything. And the fore end was threaded, so you would jab this thing in the hole and screw it down, and the barrel would stick out the side of the Bradley. And there was a video of a guy firing one with a 30-round magazine, and it went, and he was done. And it was insane, because one of the things that people have learned over time, we had World War II, the Browning, BAR, it goes all the way back to just before World War, or just after World War I think. I can't remember my history on that, but Germans, a lot of people have had regular spring magazine fed machine guns, and your ammo doesn't last very long. We had, like I said, MP5, I think it was the K model, and you just don't get a whole lot of trigger time with one of those. So, now we're into things like the Stoner 63 and the 249 and the M60, where they're effective. And you have to think about those as just a long range shotgun, honestly. But they're fun, but extremely overrated, the whole machine gun thing. Yeah.
I wonder if they discontinued those side bolts. Maybe they were melting barrels. I mean, because if they're putting 30 rounds down there, like a
well,
that
there are a lot of
that
questions.
sounds like a lot of heat.
It's, I mean, obviously, if somebody's storming the vehicle, if for whatever reason the vehicle gets disabled or whatever, you want to be able to deal with it. But one of the big questions was, why not make it to be able to use the soldier's issued weapon, where you could actually hit something, make it select fire, use a standard M16, anything. For whatever reason, they decided to put this open bolt monster on it. And, it's not, again, it's magazine, not belt fed. It's not like you're going to be able to, defend a fixed position for an hour with it, because you're going to be knee deep in spent brass and magazines before it's all over with. And it didn't last long. But 231 or 239, I can't remember. Forgotten Weapons has one. And they had a version where you could take it out of the vehicle, and it had a front and rear sight inside the carry handle. So, sight radius like this. And then something else happened. I don't remember what, and they decided that was soldiers would be penalized, disciplined for taking it out of the vehicle. So I don't know the whole story on it. I've been in a Bradley like twice, so and neither one of them had it. But it's one of those things where it's hard to believe that some kind of committee or group picked that. It was just like one asshole in a high place that decided it was a great idea. So
there was a government contract in there somewhere.
Oh yeah, an open bolt M16 is what it was, and yeah, so you got all that. And they even weighted the bolt. The bolt even has extra mass on it, and it still shot like that.
Wow. It's wild. Uh-oh. We get rocked again. Let's see.
And we're back. That was
Oh,
me.
there we go.
No idea. But I guess there's been worse ideas.
Right.
But you know, one of the things, the insanity behind, like even the MP5s, fantastic platform, man. They're amazing. The roller delayed 9mm was. You got to be kidding me, dude. Anyway,
Uh-oh.
we're back. But why take a long gun with handgun ballistics? Okay, why bother? So it's essentially the same weight and pain in the ass of dragging along an M4, right? But now you have a 9mm. Why the hell would you do that? You know?
Yeah.
And I don't understand how that ever got incorporated to the SWAT world. When I came in, that was going away. And they were just now putting AR-15s in police cars instead of shotguns, you know. Jim said, can you go over sight radius versus barrel length? I can bore you to death with that, Jim. I'll make it as quick as possible. So, you know, your barrel length is from the bolt face to the end of the bore. You know, how long the tube is. So from about where the yellow flag is to the muzzle. I'm gonna solo here for a second. So
yeah, go for it.
So your barrel is measured from the rim of the cartridge to the muzzle. Your sight radius is the distance between your sights. And generally speaking, the longer that radius is, the more precise your sighting can be. Because if you are trying to shoot something very small and your sights are very close together, it's hard to be precise with it. So if your sights are further apart, like, you know, an M16, AR-15 platform where you've got a rear sight here and a front sight way out here, it's a difference of trying to, you know, look at a small spot on your screen with your thumbs like this or like this. So it's just a matter of being able to be a little bit more precise with it. In fact, there's some old bullseye competition. Is really funny. You'd have a 1911 and the front sight would stick out like another couple inches on just this little thin metal platform with the sight on the end of it. This is 50s and 60s, that kind of thing. So I hope that answers the question. Like I say, I have all this information that I can't use. Once you become an actual, you know, expert, or what I've testified as expert in gun cases, immediately everybody stops listening to you because you don't agree with all the jackoffs on YouTube or what your husband said, or administrators. Typically anything I'm going to say is very expensive and administrators don't like it, or it's not how they did it in the 70s, which, you know, we all know how great law enforcement was in the 70s. So I'm not jaded. I was bitter for a while, but I'm over that now. So
I was trying to tell Stacy or somebody else about the meme you posted, like the where it was like the cop walking away with all the stuff blowing up in the background. It's like, this is me when I retired.
oh yeah.
That was great.
I don't post many memes, but yeah, it's what's the cartoon, Tommy the Train or something like that, the big smiling train?
Yeah, Thomas the Tank, or
something
Thomas
like
the
that.
Train. Yeah, something like that.
And so he's fleeing this like giant smoking hole, like the city blowing up with a big goofy smile on his face. That was me, man. I mean, I was there. I came in during the Rodney King days, so that's my, you know, my lineage, and was, I mean, you know, we're at the peak of training and education and efficiency and all in law enforcement. I don't give a shit what anybody says. And that was all my thing. And then the minute I retired in August, and suddenly it's Chinese bat AIDS and defund the police and BLM and all that stuff. And I'll
Yeah.
just sit back and I tell you what's crazy is still talking to my buddies, man. Some of these guys, their nerves are just shot out. I mean, they're just,
Oh, I bet.
yeah. I mean, and then we've got, local political bullshit on top of that. It's tough, man. And I still feel it, but at the same time, I got my own problems. I'm going to show you guys, see if I got the number right, because I suck. That's not on here. But anyway, that's the 230 M231. Is it showing, Abe?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. It's got the so if you look at the fore end, it's got the threads.
Okay, I see the threads. Yeah.
Yeah. No sights. You can see on the handle they haven't even milled out the holes for the sights. There's no forward assist or anything else. And looking back on it, I'm trying to, I kind of pieced it together. This kid, he's obviously a soldier, takes one and fires it into a backstop in 0.2 seconds, dumps a magazine, and then the video disappeared. And I would imagine that was around the time they told people not to do that shit. So he pulled the video. But the shameful thing about it, the tough thing is, I've daddied a couple of young cops, and I taught at the academy, and I wouldn't advise somebody to go into law enforcement right now. I couldn't in good conscience tell them to do it. I mean, the sentiment and all was there. In my time, I got attacked by Alex Jones, no less, for some of the shit that we did. And but today I just couldn't tell somebody to do it. I would tell them to do something else.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah, it was something a couple of years ago I seriously considered it, because I was like, I think the music career is over. I mean, the venues were already dying before COVID became a thing. And then ASCAP and BMI started just rampaging through Texas and shutting down bars. So I seriously considered law enforcement for about 6 months. And then thank God I didn't pull that trigger, because I'd be sitting right in the middle of it right now.
Oh yeah, man, you would be. Oh yeah, definitely, man. Good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, listening to you and Tim talk about music. I mean, you guys say the same thing, and
yeah.
I'm Tim's bass player, and I feel it, but not like you guys do. I'm not the tip of the spear in creativity and all that stuff. You want to pay me to show up and play bass, I'll do it. Other than that, screw it. What the hell are you gonna do? I'll tell you the weird thing, kind of my story on that. I was going through some pretty heavy cancer treatment, and there's a gig we played one free gig a year, and it was for an organization attached to anti-child abuse, and it was made up of all the people I worked with when I was a sex crime detective. And so I know, it's CPS and CASA and all these people, the Children's Advocacy Center. And we would show up and play, and we'd play for free. We didn't charge a dime. It's the college just up the road. Had a blast. First time I ever, the Jackalopes, I think it was the Jackalopes hockey team mascot, got on drums and jammed with us. It was kind of weird to look over.
Awesome.
To get in a pocket. There's this dude in this giant freaking rabbit suit or whatever it was. And they invited us back. And I felt bad because I was waiting on my treatment schedule and I kept putting them off. And I'm like, we're going to do it. And then COVID hit, and I haven't seen a stage since then. Mustang asked us, who manufactured the M231? It's Colt. Yes, it was Colt. Colt was, up until recently, the manufacturer of the M16 platform for the U.S. military. And I don't give a shit what anybody says. I went to Colt Armor School, and I've been to 3 other brands' armor schools. Colt was the be-all, end-all until they really screwed it up over the last few years. And at the same time, other brands came along. But yeah, the Colt was the manufacturer of all those. I think Bushmaster's doing it now. I can't remember. Colt just screwed everything up. They completely choked on a good thing. But my AR-15 is an old. It's a 2001 Colt. It's got the weird size pins, the post band, so the trigger pins, the hammer spring pins, all that crap, the weird sizes. It's got the cutout bolt, so you can't put a disconnector in it. And I don't know how many tens of thousands of rounds have been through that thing. I tried to figure it out one time, and I went to an armor school and I put the gauges on it. It gauged a 2, so new is a 1, retire it as a 5, and mine was like around a 2. The metallurgy, the assembly, they could afford to do it right, and it was primo. But unfortunately, that's gone. So now you've got it. You want a good one, you go to Armorlight, Rock River, DPMS, and some others. And I've seen some customs that were just amazing. I don't know all the companies, but if I had to buy an AR-15 today, I have no idea what I would go with.
Yeah, I got a Bushmaster right now, but yeah, I see all kinds of stuff, custom build stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess there's new companies that are custom building stuff that are popping up all over the place. So you can get something that's super, super basic, or like you say, the tactical thing with the Punisher logos or whatever you want. You can paint it.
Yeah.
You can paint
Custom
it pink or
pink. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, there's all kinds of stuff out there.
Yeah. I don't have a bad thing in the world to say about Bushmaster. We were issued Bushmasters on the SWAT team, and it wasn't Bushmaster's fault. I just hated the model that they bought. But I can tell you, it was a short barrel, not like SBR short, but carbine barrel. Was it 16 for carbine? I forget what the full size was.
I think it's 16.
And it was a 16-inch, but with the M16, the A1, the full size black stock that you never see anymore, right? The M16 A1, A2 stock.
Right.
And mine had the M4 stock. Well, it has the same geometry as like an M16 A1. And I just, for the hell of it, I was shooting high power at the time. And I put like an old Garand sling on it and my shooting jacket and all. Normally shot an accurized M1. And I shot, I think I had to shoot in the open division. I won 3rd place with it. With a really good score and that short ass barrel and open sights. So, again, it was the design, not the manufacturing thing. And I've shot one of the coolest race guns for service rifle matches is the Rock River M16 or AR-15. I guess it's an A2. Palmetto sucks. We got some Armalites one time that the A-frame was anchored wrong. So we were trying to zero them, and we damn near had to crank the sight, off the side of the gun to get it. And so you look to see if the barrel's overclocked, and it wasn't. It's just that the way the barrel was pinned on, the A-frame was crooked. And,
wow.
And that's another thing. I've seen 3 Rugers in the last 10, 12 years that they didn't have the front sight drilled straight. They're drilled off to one side.
How do they get away with that?
I bought one of them was a police gun. We had it. It was the law enforcement model, which they have a pressed on kind of M1 style sight, not the big giant triangle that Mini 14s normally have. I didn't specify this is a Mini 14. And it was crooked, and basically I just put it in a vise and beat the shit out of it and got it straight. And then I got set up a friend's Ruger single 6, and same thing. You wind up cranking the sight, damn near off into the carpet, twist and twist. And I got to measuring it, and it was crooked. It wasn't drilled in the right spot. And most recently, the 2245 I bought from a guy on Craigslist or something here in Midland. Nice dude, and it was cheap, and he just thought it was screwed up, I guess. I wound up having to drift the sight to get it to line up, and the front sight was drilled off to the side. So,
Huh. Wow.
one of the things that Colt did that no one else did at the time was they would build the rifle up and put it in a special vise and center the rear sight, put it at mechanical 0, and then drill the hole for the front sight and thread it. And it's not threaded, and then press fit the sight. So it was all, you'd take it out of the box and 0 it, put everything in mechanical 0. And if you weren't zeroed, you were damn close. But others like Armalite, they were separate sub assemblies, and it was kind of a crapshoot what you got. So, see, I should have learned to code, because if I could remember that kind of detail through all this shit.
Yeah.
And Jim's going to tell me, no, you don't want to have learned to code. So, but anyway, holy crap. Yeah, our Facebook side chat is not working, but everything else is. All right, man. I don't know about you, but my lovely bride and her sister are going to be here soon, so I'm going to get ready to cook some steaks, man. This has been a blast. So
yeah, man, this is cool.
Like I said, I want to toss every piece I own into my truck, and let's go out to the dome and just make a pile of brass. I think that'd be a blast, man.
Let's get after it. We'll get some of the fun stuff out and make puffs of smoke.
Oh yeah. Shit, I got black powder and all kinds of crap.
I think I showed you this one, but this is a guy. He's actually the bass player in my rockabilly band that we used to play gigs before COVID. But he's a leather worker guy, and he made me this one.
Yeah, you posted that, man. I love that thing. That's
so, and
cool.
It's got the old school, and you see that how the loop latch.
Yeah. It's just got the lanyard loop thing on it.
Yeah.
What is the gun there?
It's the Army Colt.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I had to put new nipples on it because the last time I fired it, I hadn't fired it in probably 6 years. And I don't know if maybe one of the kids had played with it or somebody, but it had been dry fired enough that the nipples
they were beat flat.
They were beat flat, and it double fired. It chain fired on me.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was like, okay, we're gonna stop doing that, and we're gonna fix that.
What actually happens when you chain fire one of those? I've never seen it.
So it'll come out the whichever one. It's obviously going to be the next one over. So what's happening is there's a gap in between. See if I can get it in the camera. That gap right there, a spark will pop off of that over to the next round, and the next round will come out the side.
Oh, okay. I thought it came from the front, but that makes more sense.
Yeah, I mean it'll go out the front, but the spark usually comes from the back.
Oh, okay.
And that's why my dad used to say if you were doing these, you wanted to put barrel butter around here too. So that's where that greasy mess thing comes from.
Okay, I've seen a dude like cover the bullet end in Crisco. I saw that happen once.
Yeah, you want to get barrel butter on most of that, and some guys that are real good at loading, they get a lot of practice, and they're like the cowboy action guys. They can get away with just having a little in there, but some guys will overdo it, and it's like capped off at the top. It looks like there's a mucus plug in there, It's really gross. So yeah, that gets all over everything. Yeah, he made that one, and he's working on a belt for me for it. And he did some other time we do a music thing. I'll show you he did a really cool guitar strap.
Right on,
so
man.
He's way into that stuff.
Well, I have a left-handed 50 caliber single shot. You can't see it. Like I said, other podcasts, it's up there on that, or above the acoustic guitar. And then I found a 54 caliber pistol that matches it, and they're a blast to shoot. And 54 is big, but it's black powder's slow, so it doesn't break your. I've got videos of my wife shooting it, and just massive smoke. Let's see, Mustang asked, any experience with DPMS? Yes. I have never heard a bad thing about them. When I shot in, let's see, I had to go to when I had a standard Garand, and then got rid of it. Now I have a match Garand. I got moved to service rifle when I was competing in that, and so I shot with guys with all the service rifles, and a dude had a DPMS build. Again, it's like the Rock River I was talking about. It's essentially, it fits all the external dimensions of an A2, M16, AR-15, but little hidden things like the barrel's actually floated. The sights, you can't have match sights, but they were really good. The standard, what do they call them? Combat sights or whatever. And it ran like a sewing machine. Fantastic gun. And a couple of guys on the team had DPS M4s and loved them. Oh, well, not M4s. We didn't have any auto 223s, but the M4, I say profile. And mine's an A3 Colt, AR-15 A3. So it's like an M4, but the barrel is straight. It doesn't have the cuts. And it's spun for a 55, 60 grain. I can't remember. Way more accurate than me. I can tell you that much. But no, DPS, fantastic gear. Like I said, DPMS, Rock River, Bushmaster. I don't know if Armorlight's gotten their act together yet or not. And then some customs, man. I saw when we had one go through evidence that was unbelievable how well that thing was put together. And I can't remember the name of it. It was a custom, and holy hell. I mean, no slop in anything. It's like you pick it up and it's like shaking a brick. Doesn't make any noise, like nothing on it's even crazy. So yeah, that's awesome. Have entirely too much fun, spend too much money on that shit. So but yeah, I've been doing I've been shooting like I said, air guns mostly, and 10-meter guns, and holy hell, man, that's a lot of fun. And
I haven't played with any of that stuff. I gotta get into some of that.
If you I would advise everybody, if you really want to play with this, go to CMP, Civilian Marksmanship Program. If you meet the standards, I think they've changed. You'd have to look it over. You can get a Daisy 853 for $100. They're rebuilt, single pump 177 guns, and they have a Lothar Walther barrel, which is the catch on it. And they come with new sights. They come with a barrel counterweight, stock spacers. I wish I had it here. In fact, I had some guys on Reddit ask me to shoot a review video, and because apparently when you buy one, you can't do it. The witchcraft makes you not be able to make a good review video. But 10-meter rifle, the black part of the target is about the size of a silver dollar, and the 10 ring is barely big enough to fit a pellet through it, so it's pretty tight. It comes with, like I said, new sights and all that, and they are absolute tack drivers. It's not, dude, it's not the BB guns that you and I used to shoot grasshoppers with in the cotton field. It is a world difference for $100. And I had a pistol done. I was pissed off. I couldn't get the one I wanted. They quit making the Daisy 747, and Crossman's Custom Shop offered them with a Lothar barrel, and I got one of those, and they're absolutely ridiculous. So anyway, I'm going to shut down, cook some steak, man. So hit us with,
get after it.
What is your site for the sauce?
It's Thundercat's Cajun Kitchen.
I'm going to link that.
Yeah. And we're on Facebook. That's our website, Thundercat's Cajun Kitchen. We got hot sauces and spices and pies in a jar and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, Abe, like I said, we're cousins, have known each other all our lives, and we used to shoot and play guitar together, and then at some point in our lives, we arbitrarily decided to go completely off the deep end in both of those, and Abe became a pro musician and I became a pro shooter. So, and here we are, here we both are with absolutely nothing to do and can't make money off any of that shit. So,
Yeah, right. Oh,
cool,
yeah,
man. We're
yeah,
gonna do
man.
this again. Like I
Yeah.
said, I've got a kick-ass episode coming up now that we've kind of shaken the bugs out of this. I'm going to run it on a Cat 5 cable. I'm not going to trust this, even my new wireless
Right.
mesh. So we got that much. So cheers,
Cool.
sir. Have a great time.
Cheers.
And we're on Facebook. We're on YouTube and whatever. I'll have the audio published to whatever platform you guys like. So have fun, Abe. We'll do this again, man.
Yeah,
I'll take care.
absolutely. Later.